In this presentation, I'm going to talk about differentiation and literacy as the importance of being intentional when grouping and planning instruction for students. We will have one learning target today. At the end of this presentation, you will be able to identify the 3 steps in the differentiation process. But first, please take 30 seconds and jot down what comes to mind when you hear the word differentiation. This can be a word, a phrase, or even a picture. If we were in class together, I'd have you turn and talk with the partner next to you about what you wrote down. But for now, we will revisit this at the end of our presentation. John F. Kennedy once said that efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. Differentiation provides the purpose and direction in reading instruction. Let's begin with looking at differentiation as a process. Differentiation is not just grouping students based on their ability. If we did this, many students would end up in a reading group, being taught generalized skills without a focus on what skills they're truly lacking. Maybe you have experienced a classroom with a high group, a medium group, and a low reading group. Differentiation is using data to make intentional instructional decisions based on a student's level of skill and need. You can think of differentiation and literacy occurring in an ongoing process as displayed on the screen. The 3 steps in the process are pre-assessment, identifying a student's strong and weak or missing skills, instructional grouping, grouping students based on weak or missing skills, and post-assessment, monitoring student growth with both formative and summative assessment. As a reading instructor, equal attention needs to be given to each of the 3 steps. Pre-assessments occur at the start of the school year. Universal screeners such as DIBELS or EasyCBM are administered 3 times a year, providing a beginning, middle, and ending data point. Other individualized assessments include phonics screeners, sight word list assessments, running records, or developmental reading assessments, all of which can be re-administered more frequently than universal screeners to gauge student growth and progress. Each of these measures provide a different type of data. Phonics screeners focus on letter names and sounds, including vowel combinations, blends, and digraphs. Sight words are words that generally cannot be sounded out phonetically and go in stages starting in groups of 100 and cover word reading and vocabulary. Running records and DRAs address actual reading fluency and reading comprehension. By using multiple data points, you can identify the skills a student has in place and the skills they are lacking, which are needing to be taught. For example, a student may score highly on their phonics screener, but low on their running record, showing they would need more practice with sight words, reading fluency, and comprehension. Next, you can move to instructional grouping of students. Using the data gained from pre-assessments, you can begin intentionally grouping your students based on their instructional level and lacking skills in conjunction with the scope and sequence of your reading curriculum. By identifying the level of the group and the skills needed to be taught, you can select the appropriate materials for the group of students and begin providing scaffolded instruction. For example, in 2nd grade, you could use your phonics screener data to identify a group of students who need extra practice on long vowels. And finally, post-assessments are used to measure growth and continue the differentiation process. These formative assessments are created to match the skill taught and are given after a skill has been taught and students have had time to practice. In our example of the 2nd grade group working on long vowels, you could create a quick 8 long vowel word assessment and see if the students can read the long vowel words. As the teacher, you can get a quick check to see if the students in the group need more instruction and practice on the skill, or are able to move on to the next lacking skill, or even maybe they need to be regrouped again, depending on the variety of skills needed across the class of students as a whole. Pre-assessment measures can also be used as post-assessments, depending on the skills you are needing to assess. So let's review what's been covered in this presentation. First, let's revisit what you jotted down quickly before we started. This time, please jot down what you know differently or more deeply now. This quick exercise has allowed you to look at your thinking from the beginning and compare it to what you've written down now. Your thinking has either changed or has been strengthened based on new learning. We had one learning target in this presentation. I can identify the 3 steps in the differentiation process. Differentiation is not just grouping students based on ability, but rather an ongoing process with 3 steps: pre-assessments, instructional grouping, and post-assessments. Each of these steps need equal attention, allowing for intentional skill-based instruction for each group of students. Once your groups have been created and the skills to be taught have been identified, you can move to the structure of the small group reading lesson and select the appropriate materials for teaching the needed skills with scaffolded instruction. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me by email. Thank you.